Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll begin with you, Ambassador Crocker. On August 31st, 2010, President Obama declared, quote, "The American combat mission in Iraq has ended. Operation Iraqi Freedom is over." At the time of the Iraq withdrawal, the commanding general, I would note, was General Austin. And exactly 3 years later, exactly 11 years later to the day, President Biden declared last night in Kabul, the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history. My fellow Americans, the war in Afghanistan is over, unquote. Is it really? And under the circumstances, are we likely to have to go back in as we did in Iraq? And what are the security implications as a result of the chaotic evacuation from Afghanistan?
Thank you, sir. I have said this for years now. You don't end a war by withdrawing your forces. You simply cede the field to others who have more patience and more staying power. It is simply false to claim that, once we're gone, lights out, curtain down, war's over. No, it's not. And that's what we've seen in Iraq, of course, unfortunately, and that is now what we're seeing in Afghanistan. So you got to keep charging on these sorts of things. Again, that strategic patience issue. I would give you to the second part of your question, sir. I would referring to the force that came in, Marines and airborne troopers, and I think did a fabulous job with a horrific situation. We lost folks there, Marines, a Navy corpsman, and of course an airborne trooper. It brings me to mind of what happened in Beirut in 1983. I was there. I was there when the embassy blew up in April, and I was there when the Marine barracks blew up in October. And I would have to say that I hope exceedingly that in the after-action reports on how those Marines and others were lost, that blame not be put on the shoulders of the MU commander or indeed of the airborne commander. I think they did a brilliant job under horrible conditions. One of the shameful things that I had to witness as an American was the fact that in Beirut, after the barracks bombing, responsibility was not placed any higher than on the Mao commander at the time. The loss of these folks, our Marines and the others, demands higher accountability than that. I just want to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. My time's kind of limited. General McMaster, I'm going to turn to you now if I can. How do you think Tehran and Beijing and Moscow are viewing the withdrawal, the chaotic withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan? The current administration is insisting that they're disappointed to see us leave. Is this an assessment that meshes with reality, in your opinion?
No, I think for China, for Beijing and Moscow, they're going to fill the void in Central Asia. I mean, Ambassador Crocker would be much better qualified than me to talk about the geostrategic implications. But you can see what China's designs are in Pakistan with the China-Pakistan economic corridor and the solidification of that servile relationship, really, with the Pakistanis. That's going to carry over, I think, into Central Asia with an eye toward Afghanistan, and is connected to really what they're trying to do on the Himalayan frontier and in Mongolia to as part of the One Belt One Road initiative to gain a position of preponderant power across the Eurasian landmass. Frankly, now, Russia has been a source of funding and weapons to the Taliban. I think that you have much better information about that than I do. They've been hedging with them. So has China. I think they're in a rush to accommodate with the Taliban, to gain a position of strategic advantage. This has implications, obviously, for India as well. So the idea that disengaging from Afghanistan makes us more competitive with China, it makes no sense at all, because these other regions, including the greater Middle East as well, are arenas of competition with both Russia and China. And it's the lack of confidence that countries in those regions have in our staying power that leads them to a broad range of hedging activity. You see this play out in particular with Iran, which is the other element of your question. And Ambassador Crocker, again, would be much better to talk about this than I would. But I think the Iranians are emboldened by this. Their message to their militias in Iraq and in Syria are that, hey, the Americans are going to be on their way out here as well. That's been their message to the parliamentarians in Iraq too. Hey, get the Americans out. They're going to leave you hanging anyway. So I think that this has had a very negative effect by emboldening our adversaries.
Thank you.
Gentleman's time has expired. I now recognize Representative Karen Bass of